Mohammed Haron is the son of the slain anti-apartheid activist Imam Abdullah Haron. He joins us now from Cape Town to talk about this. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for speaking to us. And I imagine a very difficult subject. So let me ask you this question. How does it feel waiting, at least for your mother and your family at large, 53 years for the truth regarding your father's death to come out?
Evening to you and evening to everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. Well, it continues to be a traumatic sort of experience because nothing has been resolved, and we are waiting with bated breath in terms of the findings of this inquest, or the inquest that is being revisited. And so from the family side, I think we have generally not been so what's the word? We have not been responsive to the issue, partly because we lost somewhat faith in the system, for it has been dragging this issue for so many decades. And now that it has basically come, we, in a sense, have a positive attitude and hopefully look forward to a positive outcome.
And how old were you when your father died, if I may ask? And what did you understand? Were you old enough to even understand what happened to him then?
Well, of course, I think, I was just a sort of young boy of just almost becoming 13. And of course, the apartheid system was such that even as a child, you experience the racist system in various ways, as a school kid, as somebody who gets onto a bus. And so, in a sense, when we became aware of our father's activities, we realized that he, of course, trying to serve the community in the best way he could, was killed as a result of his networks, a result of the way he had served the community. So yes, one was aware of what was happening, but one, as a young person, you did not have the full story.
And I'd imagine
the full impact of it.
And I'd imagine even the rumors itself made it worse, because we just saw an excerpt of your mother there just recounting on what they know of how the apartheid era police system dealt with apartheid, anti-apartheid struggle stalwarts, but also, I believe, eyewitness accounts of when they last saw your father, etc. So did that make it even more difficult, the fact that it's snatches of information and nothing is really verified, that is on record as definitive to say this is what actually happened?
Well, this is exactly, I mean, we were in the dark then, and we will continue to remain in the dark, even though that inquest was held in 1970. The inquest did not really reveal who the criminals were. The criminals themselves, the people who had murdered him, security, police, they basically just played around with words without revealing what they did to him. So yes, indeed, we remained in the dark, and we wanted to know the truth. And we are of the view that the findings that at that time basically were not true in any way. So they were, the judge, and rather the magistrate and his team, were very hesitant maybe to get to the bottom of it, partly because it was part of a racist system that tried to prop it up. And so in a sense, all those who died in the cause, who were killed in the cause, their lives, their stories will remain sort of a mystery. In other words, we do not know how they were killed and why they were killed in the way they were.
And do you feel that had it not been for years of pressure on government, that the truth would be buried forever? There is the inquest that's been reopened now, but it's been through years of pressure, and that includes the legal counsel that will be joining you in this endeavor next week, and those who supported your family throughout the years.
Well, I mean, firstly, if indeed our government had responded to the request of the TRC with a list of unfinished business, immediately after the TRC had ended its sort of, its stint, then I think we would have been able to, firstly because some of these murderers were still alive, they were around. So at this point, we can't bring anybody to court to lay charges against that individual. So it just, I think, and the mere fact that there was, as we know, political interference, this all added to this trauma that we have been experiencing, because we had faith in, we look forward to the outcomes of the TRC, but yet nothing was delivered. So now, 53 years down the line, there's a glimmer of hope. But with that glimmer of hope, we're looking forward to closure, but also knowing that those people who were responsible for his death are not there to be brought to book.
And as you say, because nobody participated in the TRC process, does that give you hope that somebody, at least, even if it's by name, the symbolic entity of the apartheid government being held to book, but also the fact that the Foundation for Human Rights says, through its executive director, Yasmin Suka, that the organization's private investigation retrieved the original docket, the inquest record, traced and identified potential witnesses. Is some of this information new, but what does it do in terms of, the integrity of what you have been told and the state apparatus of how it deals with victims of the apartheid era atrocities?
Dependent upon system to basically do justice to all the victims, not just in the case of our father, but to all victims, Steve Biko and so many others. And yet it has not done so. However, the Foundation of Human Rights has worked extremely hard to assist in whichever way they could, and they've retrieved information, of course, and brought to the fore, but these have not been verified by the courts. In other words, it is there, and we identify with these, but since we were not given the chance by the legal system, we basically remain sort of, to an extent, at a loss, because we cannot really get to the truth or to the bottom of things. So we have...
Right, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. Muhammad Haron, thank you very much. He's the son of the anti-apartheid struggle hero who died in police custody, Imam Abdullah Haron.